See, you kind of wasted that research. You didn't use metabolic boost at all on anything. So I kind of recommend you next time you research something like that, you get out a lot of Zerglings. It's just things like that you got to realize. If you're gonna build a building, if you're gonna use the research tech in that building, you need to use the units that use the research. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think you kind of understand what I'm going for. You got roaches out, but you don't have Glow Reconstitution out. You don't have any of these. You research metabolic boost, but only you got mass roach out, or you just started getting roaches. So just remember to correspond with your upgrades and your units a lot better. Just maybe make them work together. So gonna fast forward it a little bit more. You do get the third out, and you go for the fourth base here. See, this is, I guess, okay, considering you have a lot of minerals right now, and you do have the gold. And the main thing is you have pretty well map control. Obviously, you got good map vision. But one thing you need to remember to do is a lot of Zerg players have a big problem with scouting the opponent, because they obviously don't really have any good scouts. They don't have scans or cloaked units like observers or something. So what they usually do is they have an overlord, and they'll just send the overlord in here, and it's gonna have to die. I mean, it'll be killed. But that overlord, you can see what he's doing, and you see this right here. He's going for double robo, obviously. He's getting out double immortal, and I highly doubt he's getting out double colossi at the time right now, because for one he's just macroing up right now. He's getting probes and stuff. He's just working on getting a little army up, and if he would have researched for colossi, it would have been pretty bad, because he's spending too much money on that. So you have to assume he's getting immortals out, but you didn't see any of this. So unfortunately, I think you just kept massing out more and more roaches. Another thing that I noticed here is you were researching melee attacks level 1. You were researching it before the missile attacks. I really don't understand why you did that, because like I said, the only thing that benefits the drones, and it benefits the 2 Zerglings you had. So really at the time it was kind of useless, because you didn't build any Zerglings or anything. You just built drones. You should have gotten the missile attacks a lot earlier than your claws, your melee attacks. And then you got the Spire out. You got the Spire out, but I don't think you got any Mutalisks until later in the game. And usually in a situation like this, when the Protoss player is on 2 base, Mutalisks aren't that great, because the Protoss player can have a high stalker count, and you can just go back and forth, taking out Mutalisks, and your harassments would be very light. But you also need to realize that since he did a Forge Fast expand, he's going to get cannons up. The fact that he's on 2 base right now, he doesn't need any cannons, because he's got a little army here to kind of contain, or to kind of make sure you don't do anything over here to his main base or anything. So, but when he gets his third, something like that, then you'll notice that that he'll start getting cannons back here, so your mutas can't do any damage. So basically, that's basically it. But like I said, he played very defensively, so it gave you time to get up your third and your fourth base, which was good. I like that. Just drone up a little harder next time. I think you have a way higher count than he does with workers anyway. Yeah, you're at 60 workers where he's at 39. So I guess I was wrong. You did good. You did do a good drone. You did drone up pretty well. But this right here, I'm gonna just pause it right here. You went for another expansion. Not good. I'm gonna say this because, for one, you're only in 13 minutes of the game. Around 13 minutes, the Zerg player has the third up and is going for the fourth. That hurts. He has the third and he's going for the fourth around the 13-minute marker. In your case, since you laid this thing down, your fifth base at like 13 and a half minutes, all of your expansions are really left undefended. There's no defense. There's 5 unupgraded roaches. They don't even have a Glow Reconstitution yet. So you don't have any army to protect these 5 bases. The Protoss player is only on 2 bases, so you kind of realize at this point of the game he's got a little army up. And he's just macroing up in the background. He's getting upgrades. He can send this little army and probably take out this base, and this base because you don't have any drone or any you don't have an army. You only have this. Next time, what I recommend you do is get out an army before you get this fifth down, and then it'll be easier to defend. Another thing I noticed is you didn't have, and because you mentioned you don't know what to do to defend against something like that. You need to get out spine crawlers. Now, spine crawlers don't necessarily drive the enemy back or kill the enemy. The main reason for spine crawlers and cannons and missile turrets and bunkers late game is to basically delay the enemy from doing any serious damage to your economy. In the early stages of the game, yeah, they're pretty good in the early stages. But at this point, he's got an army up. He can do anything he wants at this time. He's got 2 bases when you're on 3, so basically just remember I know you're kind of worried about your economy, but at this point, you're at 13 minutes, he's on 2 base, you're on almost 4 base. Your drone rate is a lot higher than his probe rate. So right now you're doing pretty freaking good with your economy. Just remember to spend your money more, get a bigger army up. Because another thing that you need to realize is when he built these cannons, he spent, I think cannons are 150. He spent 350 here, and then I think he built 3 cannons over here. So he spent about let's see, yeah, he spent about 550 over here, because he got 3 cannons, and then he got the pylon. So he spent a lot of money trying to harass you. He's not necessarily in the best position economically because he's spending money outside of his base. He's going to be low on probes. He got this a little later than expected because he was doing the cannon harass to you. So you're in a good situation. Don't think you're in a bad situation because he went for a Forge Fast expand. He actually did it pretty bad because he went for the warp gate or the gateway, but didn't build any gateway units at the time. So he spent more money on his base than on an economy or an army. So basically that's one thing. I'm gonna resume it here. Let's see here. And then your melee attacks are almost complete, but you don't have anything to benefit that. You don't have any Zerglings out. You know, these roaches don't do melee damage. They only, they only have their attack damage and missile damage. So, and they only have a range of 4. At this point, it's really not that great because for one, stalkers have a higher DPS rate than than roaches, and they have a higher range. They have 6 range, and immortals have 6 range as well. So this army is going to tear anything you have apart because for one, you have a low count of roaches, and you have those mass Zerglings would have been very, very good against this. Very good. The fact that he even had his forces spread out. But you see at the angle, if you would have attacked him with mass Zerglings, he probably would have been able to deal a lot of the damage with these zealots here. So that's when you have your roaches still to kind of fight back against this. I mean, basically your roaches will tank while your Zerglings do all the real damage. Because roaches don't do any well against stalkers. Because for one, stalkers they do well against armored units. Roaches don't do they don't have any armor advantages or anything. They only just have a damage of 16. Stalkers, upgraded stalkers do 15, but they have a higher DPS rate. So you got to think about that stuff. Just basically sticking out. You should have pulled that army back. You definitely should have pulled, because you probably killed a good amount of his stalkers, but that was it. He had all these immortals and zealots here to tear up this economy. Next time, you need to, just realize that his army is way bigger than yours and way better, and it's got upgrades. Pull that back. Pull it all back. You kind of need to realize that when he kills this base here, he's probably going to go down here, because I think he knows about this base. Get some spine crawlers up. You don't have to get too many. But in your situation, you're at 2,500 minerals and 1,500 gas. You can go ahead and go to town with spine crawlers. But more importantly, just get an army up. Get more, roaches and lings up. Sorry. But yeah, that's basically it. Just spend your money. That's the main thing. Another thing I noticed is you kind of just had your drones commit suicide over here. Worst case scenario, if that ever happens, just kind of evade them, go back over here. I mean, it's nothing too big, but it's something I would have done. You don't want to attack this. That's not going to do anything. It's just going to give them more to kill. Okay, I'm just going to pause it one more time. I just want to remind you, you're at 17 minutes of the game, and you have almost 2,500 minerals and 1,000 gas. You need to spend your money. Actually, I was going to say this a lot earlier. Before you got this, too, I would have recommended you go for the macro hatch. Put it down here somewhere. Because for one, it'll be easier for you to macro up when everything's closer. I mean, obviously, if you go all the way up here, your units have to come all the way down here just to rally up, and then you got to worry about the economy over here. Before you lay down your 5th base, or even your 4th next time, get a macro hatch. That's very, very common in any game type, getting a macro hatch. Because you're at 3 base, you're doing pretty good with your economy. Get a macro hatch, have a queen inject larva, and then you get out units much faster, and they'll be rallied a lot easier. You know, you could have rallied them all right here, but you had these 2 bases. It would have been bad for them to go all the way across the map just to rally up here. So that's just something else I pointed out, or I wanted to point out. I'm going to continue here. Your missile attacks are almost complete, and once again, you built this Evo chamber, but you didn't do anything with it. You should have researched the Kara space level. That would have definitely helped your roaches out. So, you know, you gotta focus on macroing up, you know, stuff like that. That's basically it. As you can tell, your Protoss player is only on 2 base still, so he's not that far, or you're not that far behind, even though you suffered a big loss here and up here. You know, he basically forced you back to 3 base, but you have a lot of minerals and a lot of gas. Just spend your money. Get a bigger army out. I would have most certainly, when he attacked you over here, I would have cut your roach production. I would have just stopped building roaches. Get lings out. You had a little army of roaches over here. I would have saved those roaches, and I would have gotten out lings. You have metabolic boost, and then you have the upgrade level for zerglings too. You should have just massed out nothing but straight up zerglings at the time, and then you use the roaches and your zerglings to take out this army, and you probably would have been able to most likely defend this base or save it. But knowing it was probably just too far away, it probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. But you would have had a stronger army at the time, so that's one thing I noticed. And then you get the Spire out again. And I think this time you go ahead and you get Mutalisks later on. I'm not sure, but no, not at the time. Yeah. So you built the Spire, but you didn't do anything with it for a while. So that's another thing you probably didn't do. Oops. In this engagement right here, see, this is another thing that I pointed out. This battle could have ended very, very, very differently. In your case, it ended very, very badly because he killed all your roaches and he had a decent-sized army left. I think he even rallied more units up, but you did some good damage. But problem is your micro was really bad. Your unit placement was really bad. He was in a good placement because Stalkers and Immortals have a range. They have the upper hand with range. They have the advantage of that. Whereas your roaches only have 6, and they do a low DPS, and they don't do that much against Immortals and Stalkers, especially when they're upgraded. But however, what just happened? Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna continue here. That was weird. Anyway, okay, sorry. You go ahead. See this right here. Your unit position should have been a lot better. Maybe have a better spread next time, because I'm just gonna go ahead and slow motion this for you. Look at your stalkers in the look at your roaches in the back. They're just not doing anything. They're dancing around because they can't fight. If you would have had these roaches over here, they could have done some damage over here. They probably could have taken out at least 3 of these Immortals. But the fact that your unit placement was bad, that's basically what killed you. That's what made him have a bigger army after this little battle here. So you got mutas up, which is okay, but you need to have a better rally point next time because 3 mutas aren't going to take out 5 stalkers.